Server meshing testing was a huge success according to CIG developers, but it has its problems. Cargo hauling missions are finally being tested in Evocati, and Star Citizen Live got cancelled this week. All this and more in today's episode, starting with the server meshing updates.
Basically, we learned that it worked.
Went surprisingly well for us.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, good job. It works.
Server meshing is the core technology which will allow hundreds of players to share the same universe at the same time and will allow us to travel from system to system, from Stanton to Pyro and more without any loading screens. In 3.18, they have achieved the replication layer split, which is the first milestone into achieving this technology. Its purpose was to offload the entire state of the universe. Any ships, character, weapons, etc. was offloaded away from the game server on something they call the DGS. And as we all know, 3.18 wasn't the smoothest patch that they have released. It has a lot of issues and it took a long time to be able to stabilize and normally function. But this was crucial in order to develop the server meshing technology. They also developed the server crash recovery system, which is basically the end of the 30k error. People who play Star Citizen know how painful it was to have that error, and basically you have to start the game all over again.
We learned that, the technology was working kind of as we expected. It was like surprising how well it actually worked.
For the backers, the major change that they would have observed through these tests was the improvement for server crash recovery. So the first outing with server crash recovery, we were talking 25-30 minute recovery times, frequent crashes all over the place.
If the server crashes, the game state still survives. We can spin up another server, and when it connects again, the new server connects again. It can get all the game state back and clients can continue on their merry way.
So as he just said, it had its issues and the server recovery time was ridiculously long, 30 minutes at a time. But since then, they have reduced the time to recover the server. And this was actually the focus of the first 2 tech preview tests that they have tested. And according to them, it was a huge success.
Yeah, I think I was probably expecting it to explode. Yeah, pretty hard. But we were surprised that the game code worked as well as it did without needing changes.
You keep saying surprisingly well. Were you expecting this to just fall on its face?
Yes, I've been working in games a long time, and for things to work first time is very unusual. So yeah, I was fully expecting something to explode and for us to have to patch something up.
They were expecting the tests to go poorly and everything to explode, but surprising to them, it went relatively smoothly. Now these tests were just that, tests, in order to gather data and improve upon the technology. All that said, there were still bugs and still game systems that weren't quite ready or working well with server recovery.
What's cyclical crashing?
Basically, when the server then tries to recover, start back up, it would then deserialize the state that we had stored previously, and the state itself was corrupt, so it would just crash and it would just keep trying. Pretty annoying. A lot of people were like, let's turn off server crash recovery, that's the problem, when actually no, it wasn't the problem, it was just the state it was in. When it is working, it works very well.
But this is when we were noticing, a lot of major spikes, and a player tries to interact with a door or a ship or tries to pick up something, and they could be waiting several minutes for something to actually happen.
So at this point, they have deployed the replication layer technology. It was time for them to continue with the server meshing technology, to connect Pyro with Stanton and to split Stanton into multiple what they call DGSs to increase the number of players sharing the universe and more.
So this one was the big surprise. So we were really excited to finally get multiple DGSs and multiple solar systems out there into the hands of the backers for testing. And also this was a huge milestone for the platform teams, because it's their first time having to deploy a full-on server mesh with multiple DGSs out to our live environment. That was a super exciting test.
And with this, they were ready to start the server meshing test in the tech preview channel. But with a caveat, there was still a last-minute disappointment that happened when they were gonna run the test. The jump point that was going to connect Pyro with Stanton at the last minute did not work.
Unfortunately, we had a last-minute issue with the jump points that meant they weren't quite gonna make it for that test.
I remember being very upset that jump points decided not to work at the last minute. But there was an issue with the jump points where if someone used it, the radius to pull in people from the server to go to Pyro was essentially the size of the universe. So if you used the jump point, everyone in Stanton was going to Pyro whether they wanted to or not.
Let's say you were doing a mission on Daymar, or a mission anywhere in the verse, you would suddenly be transported into Pyro, assuming it worked and didn't crash the game. As you can expect, that's not how it's supposed to work. But after fixing that issue, they have successfully done the server meshing test connecting Pyro with Stanton, and people were, for the first time ever, going from Stanton to Pyro through the jump gate.
I sat by the Pyro jump gate, watching the first backers come through from Stanton. Myself, a whole bunch of the team were online watching that happen. Amazing to see it, kind of culmination of, years of work by dozens of teams and hundreds of people.
I remember the players going through the gate and smashing into each other on the other side. They would just come out of the gate and somebody would be parked there from having just come through, and they would crash into each other. They would spin out. It was really funny.
Seeing people actually use the jump gates for the first time, that was like really exciting. That I think brought home to the community at large that this was actually server meshing, that we're actually doing the real tech here and it actually works. And yeah, we knew it all along, but yeah, it told everybody else that, yeah, we're doing the real deal here.
Guys, if I saw that, I don't know how my reaction would be if I saw that in the game and I played it myself. Like, imagine everyone, when 4.0 drops, I guarantee you, everyone is going to be migrating to Pyro. Imagine tens of players with all sized ships going from Stanton to Pyro, like massive migration. That would be an epic scene to see. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully, everything works when it's actually live, because as we know, nothing goes smoothly and 4.0 is already delayed like multiple times. So I'll just have to see it to believe it. With that test, they have achieved and proved that it's possible to connect multiple DGSs together and create the first version of server meshing connecting Stanton with Pyro. The next step was to split one system into multiple DGSs. So they have conducted multiple tests in this area, splitting the Stanton system into multiple DGSs.
It's super exciting now to finally deliver on what I think a lot of people's vision of server meshing is, which is a single solar system being divided into multiple areas that are all being managed by multiple DGSs.
The Stanton solar system into what we call territories, and then we'd assign those territories to different numbers of DGSs. And while we were doing that, we also tried increasing the player cap. We tried 2 DGSs, 200 players, 3 DGSs, 400 players, 4 DGSs, 400 players, and then we just decided to go a bit nuts, and we tried 6 DGSs and 800 players. And that was really to stress the system, test server crash recovery, and kind of, get all the performance information about how the hybrid service is able to handle these higher numbers of DGSs and higher numbers of players.
It was very clear to the players and the testers that were testing this test where the boundary between 2 DGSs are, because sometimes you would quantum from one DGS to the other and your ship would disappear, or that if you were like going outside your ship and you passed the horizon between the 2 servers, your ship would disappear in the other server, and there were a bunch of physics and bugs of that sort.
Did we just server hop? I found the edge.
When someone would transition across that border, they would just vanish. So yeah, it made it very obvious where the borders are.
All the backers were like, oh, we know where the server boundaries are.
That was accidental, but it provided us a fantastic testing opportunity because people could really hammer all sorts of crazy conditions at the boundary to see, shooting other ships across the boundary and all throwing cargo boxes across and watching it all largely work.
Just gonna EVA my way this way. Oh, there it is. Oh my word, it works flawlessly. I'm hitting the button. There you go. Wait, did that go through the server at a slightly different angle?
So with the persistent entity streaming released in 3.18 and the server recovery system and the replication layer update in 3.23, and And with the server meshing tests, both connecting two systems together and splitting a system into multiple DGSs, all successful, with caveats of course and bugs to be fixed, technology is proven to be possible. This is the foundation of static server meshing if all things goes to plan, which they don't always do. If the tests were successful and we saw the deployment of the first server meshing version 1 be released in Alpha 4.0, which is one of the biggest technological hurdles into basically if Star Citizen the game is even possible or not. And everything is looking towards yes, it is possible, even if it takes a lot longer than expected, which it will always do. It is possible, and they have taken the necessary steps toward making the Star Citizen vision a reality. The next step would be dynamic server meshing. Finally, the cargo hauling missions are being tested in Alpha 3.24 Ivukari build. The testing focus for this patch are the cargo hauling missions, the storage access, freight elevators, personal and instant hangars, hangars decoration, but the hover trolleys were removed from the shop for now due to causing some knock-on issues. Some features that is not ready for testing, however, are the cargo commodity rebalance and the dynamic event blockade runner. Let's break down what the cargo hauling missions involves. With the introduction of freight elevators, they have created a suite of legal missions where players are tasked to move cargo containers between locations. These new hauling missions will generate procedurally across the Stanton system, seeing the player transport goods back and forth to various jump points, LEOs, Lagrange points, landing zones, distribution centers, and outposts. These missions can be completed either through the freight elevators in the player's personal persistent hangar or through the cargo loading areas, currently exclusive to the Hull C pilots. For the mission flow, the current suite includes cargo hauling missions of 3 variants: A to B, multiple to single, and single to multiple. Each variant can come in 3 different quantity grades: small grade, supply grade, and bulk grade. So basically there are multiple versions of the cargo hauling missions, either from one location to another, multiple locations to a single location, or vice versa, and each type of these missions have 3 variants according to your reputation with the certain factions. So let's break down what these quantity grades involve. Small grade 4 SCU containers or smaller, supply grade 8 SCU containers or smaller, /16 SCU containers or smaller depending on the mission. The bulk grade, no container size limit. All missions cargo containers requested in small grade and supply grade contracts can be moved by using either the one-handed or two-handed tractor beam tool. The way you do the mission, well, first you're gonna take the mission on your MobiGlass, and any player with the contract can view and request the associated mission cargo through any freight elevator kiosk, even if it's a party member. So you can interact with the freight elevator and you'll see the cargo specified for whichever mission that you took. And when you request the mission cargo at the freight elevator kiosk, the requested cargo will appear in the freight elevator, and then you'll have to transfer it manually with the one-handed or two-handed tractor beam tools. Once you deliver the packages, the contract will be completed. These cargo hauling missions are such a game changer, not only because of the new physicalized inventory system, but also it's a whole new profession in the verse where you don't have to put your own money in the beginning and risk losing it in order to do these missions. Before, we had to pay a lot of money up front, get the commodities, research where to sell it, and then go to sell it. When we had the 30k errors, you basically lost everything. It was really a very risky profession and wasn't really actually there. It was just us doing it just to make some money out of it. But here, the cargo hauling missions, you can gain a reputation, you can do it without paying anything up front, and you get higher and higher SU just by gaining a reputation with certain factions. So these cargo missions, I'm so excited for it. In this week's SCL, they were going to show us a cargo hauling mission update, but unfortunately the SCL got cancelled. I don't know why it got cancelled specifically. It could be a technical issue because it takes hours for them to prep for the SCL and for them to record it or like go live, and maybe someone had to at the last minute go. But also it could be a problem with the cargo hauling mission itself, so I really have to see it to believe it. There was also some law system updates, so it is no longer illegal illegal to damage, destroy, tow, scrape, or structurally salvage an unowned vehicle. It is no longer illegal to tow ships outside of green zones. So you can salvage whatever ship you want as long as it's outside a green zone, and you can tow it and it will not be illegal. I think it's logical that this would happen that way. Why would it be illegal to scrape a ship that has no owner? Doesn't make sense. So I think this is just a natural update for the system. For the ships and vehicle updates, they made further aerodynamic updates to enable ships to yaw more in atmosphere, and made further Origin M50 and 300 series flight tuning changes. So some ship updates there. Now for the known issues, and there are a lot of them. For the personal hangars, the personal hangars do not open when contacting ATC to take off or land at a destination. For the transit system, the trams from Louvre Metro Center to Tessa Spaceport will rapidly rotate when leaving the station, which can push player out of the bounds or kill them. So many times this has happened to me. Please, I hate this bug. There was also some performance and location issues concerning the item banks and the freight elevators. So frame rate will dramatically drop if players own many things, which many players do. So retrieving a Hull C at locations without a docking port will display unable to handle your request at this time. For the ASOP Fleet Manager UI, the ASOP terminals will fade to black when accessed after delivering a vehicle. For security post-Korea issues, the AI are missing inside Korea. Only outside guard AI spawn. Players cannot hear other players through any audio channel. Turrets can get stuck firing nowhere near their target. The transit system will desync off course. Hostility will not be wiped by quantum jumping. Derelict settlements, AI do not move after spawning in them. Vehicles which has EMP are unable to activate it. The ship warning/alert text is very small and can be difficult to read. Backpack reloading. Sometimes weapons fail to reload if reloaded from backpack. Also, weapons reload invisible magazines when reloading from backpack. Unable to use plotted route to planet side location while in planet orbit, and repel raid on Orison missions. The combat AI are not spawning and automatically is failed. In the vehicles, the G-force induced head movement is excessive, and in Area 18, various parts of Area 18 Central can't be routed to via the Mobiglass based on the player location. There were also some bug fixes. Interrupting the retrieval process blocks retrieval of all ships has been fixed. The personal hangar ASOP toggles in and out of focus when being used has also been fixed. When docking or retrieving a ship at a docking port at a station, the docking arm will not extend, so that was fixed as well. And the ASOP terminals only show 4 digits for displaying auto-loading times, causing minutes versus hours long loads to look identical. That has also been fixed. Fixed 2 client crashes, 2 server crashes, a hybrid crash, and a server deadlock. With each Evocati PTU update for 3.24, it gets closer and closer to at least be Wave 1 PTU, which I have access to, and I'll make sure to update you guys once that patch is live. I'm also thinking of live streaming it, so if you guys are interested in that, make sure to leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel and let me know if you guys are interested in me streaming it. I could also stream it on Twitch. I'll leave the link to my Twitch channel down in the description below. I'm so excited for 3.24. Hopefully with these tests it's closer to release, because I've been waiting for too long, guys. I've been waiting for too long. They've changed it from 3.23.2 to 3.24. Like, I'm ready to play the patch, so please, I need to play. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll make sure to keep you updated with the latest Star Citizen news. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and see you next time.
Has there ever been a point in the last 5 years where you lost faith?
No.
Really?
No, yeah, no. I mean, there have been some, it's been a bit rocky at times, but I never lost faith because I believe in the tech.
I don't think we could have done this anywhere else. Nowhere else would have the patience to really develop this kind of tech on the promise of something that might happen.
I don't think there is another game company on the planet that can do what we're doing. We can take risks to produce amazing technologies that other game companies simply can't take. I'm pretty convinced that this couldn't be done anywhere else.
This is an incredibly exciting time for me. I personally have been working on this for almost 10 years. All the little bits and pieces that we've been doing have all been leading up to this. This year's been fantastic in actually seeing a lot of it all come together, and you know, the jigsaw puzzle's virtually complete now. There's just the last few pieces to put in. It's just been amazing to actually see all this work, all this effort that we've put in actually come together. And to be able to put it in the hands of our backers and, you know, get their feedback and, you know, have them experience what this could mean for the game, it's amazing.